There you go.
Okay, so Mark Mavar from Biloxi, Mississippi. You're also part of the Croatian community.
Correct.
Okay. Tell me, you were not born in Croatia.
No, I was not.
Okay. So what generation are you?
I am the second generation born in America.
Okay.
My grandfather, John Mavar Sr., was born on the island of Mavar in Croatia, which is off the coast. It's on the Dalmatian coast, but it's off the coast of a city called Zadar. And my grandfather was born there April 14th, 1880.
Wow.
And when he got to be about 18 years old, there was a severe drought on the island, and his family was in the olive business, olive growing business.
Okay.
And there was a severe drought, so my grandfather and his two brothers packed up and left because they were a burden on their family. So they came to America. My grandfather worked on a steamship, and when he got to New York, he realized this is where he wanted to be. So he worked in New York for a few years. Then he heard about a large Croatian population in New Orleans. So he moved to New Orleans. And then he heard about all the Croatians that had settled in Biloxi and were working in the seafood industry here.
Okay.
So he came to Biloxi, and that's where he met my grandmother, Olivia Skrmeta, where she was also from the island of Split in Croatia.
Are both of your parents, so both of your parents are Croatian, or are all your, no?
Both of my grandparents are Croatian.
Okay.
My father was Croatian. My mother is Irish, and she is from New Orleans.
Okay. So they come to the seafood capital of the world, right? At the time, yeah?
My grandfather came here and my grandmother were here, it was not the seafood capital of the world.
Okay.
It was a fledgling little fishing community.
Yeah.
And through the hard work of the Croatians and the Frenchmen and the Polish and everybody else who came, they eventually built it up.
Okay.
My grandfather was a deckhand on the sailing schooners, and he always knew that he could make more money for his family, because at the time he had 4 children, and he always knew he could make more money if he could own his own schooner. My grandmother worked in the factories, and
the seafood factories.
In the seafood factories, and he kept telling her, he said, "There's a schooner for sale." He said, "But it's $800." He said, "If I could find $800."
What year was this about?
This was before my father was born. So my father was born in 1926. Just last July, my father would have been 100. He lived to 96, but he almost made it to 100.
Wow.
So this was before he was born, so I'm guessing in the early 1920s.
So that same boat today would be how much?
Oh, I don't know. They don't make those anymore.
Really?
No.
So it'd be a lot. Okay.
So, but after much persistence, finally my grandmother looked at my grandfather and she said, "All right," she said, "I have $800 I've saved." So she gave him the $800. He bought the schooner, and he provided much more for his family. And as the story goes, he had then opened up a grocery store for my grandmother. She ran the grocery store. He worked on the boat. Then they bought a small piece of land here on the point, and he started unloading other people's boats and selling the fish and the shrimp and the oysters to local restaurants. Then that expanded into a canning factory. And then my uncles started working there, and then eventually my father. And the business grew and grew and grew, and they transitioned that business into a pet food business.
Okay.
And they started making a cat food. And they sold the cat food because everybody used to throw the fish overboard and kept the shrimp. Well, they were throwing more fish overboard than there were shrimp.
Wow.
So
He had such an entrepreneurial spirit. It sounds like all of them did.
So my dad and his brothers figured out a way to take those fish and grind the fish up and make them into a pet food.
Wow.
And so they were selling canned shrimp and oysters, and they were also selling canned cat food, and it was a brand called Cozy Kitten Cat Food. And the cat food grew and grew and grew because they would call their brokers and they'd say, I need 20 cases of shrimp. And they'd say, well, we started packing a cat food too. How about trying a case of that? So they would take, and eventually the cat food outsold the shrimp. So they got out of the damn shrimp business and for full-time cat food processing. And then they developed a dry cat food, and the cat food was sold in about it's a little over half of the United States, when one day the H.J. Heinz Corporation came in and knocked on the door. They own 9 Lives and Friskies, and they came in and they bought my family out of the business. And I tell everybody I'm the only damn fool in the Mavar family that got back in the shrimp business.
So right now, what are the significant businesses in the community now, today?
Today, I own Biloxi Freezing and Processing. I started that 31 years ago, and I merged that company with another existing shrimp company called M&M Processing. And today, I have a business partner, Jonathan McClendon, and the two of us are there are 3 shrimp, at one time there were about 25 or 30 shrimp processors in the city of Biloxi. Today there are 3 of us.
Wow.
And the 3 factories that are here today process more shrimp than all of those 20 factories did years ago. And we're able to do that through technology and
Do you use AI?
No, we don't use AI. Not yet. Not yet. I'm interested in humanoid robots, though. I'll tell you that.
You got to talk to Elon about that one.
I'll talk to Elon about that.
So, being in this community and being such a prominent member with the things that you're providing, the services, and I'm sure because of your company, it's providing jobs for people.
We do.
Yeah.
We employ a good number of people.
Okay. So, what does it mean to you to be a part of this community specifically in Biloxi, but then also part of the Croatian community? Like, just give somebody who's never come through here, why should somebody come through here, and what does it mean to be a part of this community to you?
Well, to me, growing up in Biloxi, when I was growing up, it was a small town.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everybody. Growing up, you couldn't get away with anything. You couldn't get away with anything. But we all knew one another, and we still, for the most part, know one another. People involved.
Or you know someone who knows them. Yeah.
That's right. That's what I used to tell my boys growing up. I sent them to a school about 20 minutes away from, about 30 minutes away from here, and I told them, I said, boys, I said, you need to understand something. You may not know those people, but they know you.
Yeah.
And it was great growing up in a small community. I'm proud to be a part of the Croatian heritage. I've just been working on becoming a Croatian citizen.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. So,
okay.
and as a matter of fact, I showed the ambassador tonight. I got this in the other day from a guy in Croatia. I had to have proof that my grandfather was born in Croatia, and I got this as the birth record of my great-grandparents and my grandfather, his birth date, and all my great-uncles and my great-aunts of their birth dates. So I'm on the road to becoming a dual citizen.
That is so cool. What made you choose to do that?
Well, I don't know. About in 2019, I took my wife and all 5 of our children back to Croatia. Excuse me, we only had 4 back then, but I took all of them back to Croatia, and we went to the island of Malat, where my grandfather was from, and we went to the island where my grandmother was from, and I just felt a connection.
Yeah,
and,
I know what you mean.
All of my children just fell in love with it. The Dalmatian coast is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But there was hard economic times. I don't know if I said this or not, but my great-grandparents were in the olive business on the island of Malat, and there was a drought for 3 or 4 years. So that's when my grandfather and his brothers realized that they were more of a burden on the family. That's how they came to America.
Yeah.
and I just feel like I felt a connection to the land.
Yeah. And so when the first time you went to Croatia, what were some of the emotions that you felt? Right, because I know where you're coming from, and I've experienced the same thing going into Italy.
We chartered a boat that took us to the island, and when we were pulling up to the island, I from looking online before, I had seen the sign that said Malat, and there's a little small Catholic church at the top of the hill.
Okay.
And my youngest son, Ryan, he said, "Oh, Daddy, not another church." And when I pointed up to the bell tower, where my grandfather, his two brothers, and there were 22 men that left the island that year when they all left. They all became successful in America, and they all sent money back to the island and had a bell tower built. And all of their names are on the bell tower.
Whoa.
And when I showed my youngest son, I said, "Look," and he said, "That's our name." I said, "That's your grandfather, your great-grandfather."
Yeah.
And when I saw the look on his face, he understood why we traveled halfway around the damn world to go over there and see that little church and that little bell tower.
Yeah.
And so that meant a lot to me.
There's so much about knowing where you came from.
That's it. Yeah,
and
100%.
you know, some of us tonight have been talking about cultural dilution, how the last 40, 50 years or so here in America, there's just been this push to kind of dilute, you know, your culture and things and really to become American, right? And in that process, the younger generations, really there's a big disconnect of the traditions and the heritage that we've come from. What would you say, I love the fact that you are going for that dual citizenship. What would you say to the younger generation today based on these thoughts?
I'll tell you a story. My father always told this story. He said he remembers when he was a little kid and he had 2 sisters and 3 brothers. And they were in the grocery store and they lived behind the grocery store. And he said he remembers that they had a family meeting. And my grandmother and grandfather said, "We are no longer speaking Croatian in the grocery store because when the customers come in, the customers might think we're talking about them. So from now on, we speak English in the grocery store." And they spoke Croatian at home, but they spoke English in the grocery store. So they assimilated into American culture. And that has been a wonderful thing for not only the Croatians, but for the Frenchmen, but for the Irishmen, for everybody who comes to this country. You can still come to the Croatian Benevolent Cultural Society and interact with your fellow Croatians.
Yeah.
But you have to assimilate and make America your number one priority. And the concept of America is unique.
Right.
And we have to embrace that. I love the fact that my grandfather and grandmother came over from Croatia, and I'm proud of the Croatian heritage that I have. But I'm more proud of the American heritage and the guts that it took for them to cross the ocean and come over here with nothing in their pockets. They worked hard, they learned the language. My grandmother could not read.
Wow.
My father and his sisters read my grandmother the newspaper every day so she would know what was going on in town.
Yeah.
But she spoke English everywhere she went, and so did my grandfather.
Yeah.
So you have to embrace the American culture.
Yeah.
Because that's why they all came here, to be American.
Yeah.
You know, Ronald Reagan said it best.
Yeah.
You can't go to Croatia and be a Croatian. You
Right.
can't go to Germany and be a German. You can't go to Mexico and be a Mexican.
Yeah.
But every one of those cultures can come to America and be an American.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing.
Yeah.
And I
So-
wish young people would realize that today, how special this country is.
Yeah. Do you find it also equally important for them to also know their family heritage?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You should know your family heritage. Like the paper I just showed you,
Right.
I was able to email the people in Croatia and find the birth records and birth dates of my grandfather from 1880,
Wow,
and they have
incredible.
copies of that.
Yeah.
That's important, and it's a special feeling.
Yeah.
And I like to think when I ride by his tomb here in Biloxi that he's going, "Good job, Mark."
I'm sure he
Keep
is.
it alive. Keep it alive.
Sure, yeah. I have a feeling that's
Yeah.
the case. So
So no, I think it's very important to embrace your family's heritage, where they're from, but it's also equally as important to embrace the American.
yeah. Well, Mark, thank you so much. I know
Well,
you're
thank you.
exhausted and you're ready for the day to be over, so I appreciate you taking the
Shrimp
time
factory
to come
starts
on.
early in the morning.
What time does your day start?
I get up about 4:30. I usually leave the house about 5:15, go to the
Wow.
factory about 5:30, and
I'm not awake yet.
6:30 I go to mass. I try to go every day. I don't go every day. Father Godfrey was right here, so he would say
Yeah.
he's almost there every morning at 6:30.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
good.
Well, we'll let you go home
Well,
and get
thank
some
you so
sleep
much.
and
I've
everything.
enjoyed talking with you.
And likewise, thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ciao.